Coloring or dyeing your beard is not something that I typically suggest for a majority of us men due to the amount of chemicals that are in the dyes that can really damage your beard hairs. Now, there are very few instances where I think coloring your beard could be beneficial or at least be okay. If this is something that you're truly considering, talk to your barber and do some research on some of the products that are out there. And because I don't dye my beard, the only information that I can really give you on this is the research that I've done, being that I have considered it in the past. And if this is something you've decided to do, I got a couple precautions that I want to throw out there to you guys so there's in the back of your mind when you're doing your research to kind of help you, but those are going to be around towards the end of the video. But first, let's discuss a few different types of color or dye for your beard. There are a few different types of beard dye that you're probably going to wind up seeing or looking into. One is a henna beard dye. The henna beard dye is an organic dye that has no harsh chemicals in it. It can last up to about 4 weeks, but it is going to fade a little bit during washes throughout that 4 weeks. Again, most henna does not have harsh chemicals in it, but the trade-off for that is it doesn't have a long shelf life to it. It's not going to stay in the beard for long. It won't last nearly as long as most hair dyes and or beard dyes that you may come across. The second beard dye that I've come across is a temporary beard dye. And there are some major differences in a temporary beard dye and a permanent beard dye besides just the amount of time they'll stay in your beard. Things such as a temporary beard dye will coat the outside layer of your beard, and it's one of those that you're not going to want to wash very often with shampoos or even with a beard wash, because it will wash out that color, being that's just on the outside of the hair. As it fades, because it is temporary, you're going to have to reapply this every 2 to 3 weeks, and especially for the outgrowth when it starts coming out of the face, you're going to have to recover that as well. Now keep in mind, the temporary beard dye will not typically work well in red, silver, or gray beards, because as we've mentioned in one of my previous videos about gray hair, that cuticle on the outside of the hairs is already thin and somewhat damaged and is already prone to drying out. But on top of all that, it doesn't really even absorb water well, which is why you tend to get that dry feeling in your gray beards. So a temporary beard dye for your gray beard is only going to give you partial coverage, and it's not going to take away all of the gray color. In order to get that full dyed color, you're going to have to go to something a little more harsh, which is what's coming up next. The third dye that we're going to talk about is the permanent hair dye.